Hello, my name is V, or V Show, whatever you prefer to call me, and welcome back to It Gets So Lonely here. Look. Let's not play this. Right here. The last time we left out, the grave digger buried us alive, so now we're gonna go to the shore, and hopefully, things are better. Discover, I wonder. The night is far from over, and there are any number of adventures still awaiting you. I hope that you have prepared yourself in advance, and I hope, for your sake, that you've learned how to swim. I have a sneaking suspicion this skill might come in handy. Path which leads to the shore, supporting yourself on the wary, aching limbs, of course, which ready to snap at the knees bent, of course. You're a little more than a wisp of a girl, but you've been running for very long, and your feet are so very numb. You feel like a great lumbering thing. You need to lie down, and quickly. Your only hope as you run is that you will find means of escape in your current predicament by the shore. You do not know what awaits you, but you have visions of a harbor extending out on the horizon, cradling a fleet of white-sailed fishing vessels. Surely they will be kindly fishermen who will be willing to take you far, far away on his boat, to a place where your pursuer will not be able to find you. You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly fisherman, a face that is lifted from the fairy tales you've read in abundance as a small child. He will have thick, bushy eyebrows and a dark brown beard, streaks through his gray. He will look intimidating at a glance, but will be fiercely protective of you, just like a father. Do not know what fathers are supposed to be like. You are only imagining. This is your imagination, however, which grants you the strength needed to keep going. You went to the shore. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you did it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. I did not say that the time had begun to lose all its meaning. The forest is behind you now, at least, and that awful nightmares that lurk within it. It is still cold, though, and still foggy. It is still dark, too. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now. It hangs above your head, round, and as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. This is pretty similar to the other one so far. Shines down upon the vertiginous words, cliffs, which plummet sharply downward to an array of sharp, spiky rocks below. You felt upon escaping the woods a degree of hope, but the sight of the weathered, blasted cliffs give you pause. You inhale. And then you frown. Now what are you going to do? You do not think this plan of yours through very well. Not that you had much in the way of a plan in the first place. There's little in the way of civilization here. Ooh, the music. The cliffs are far from the village. Far. How far? Do you know? And you can't see any houses. Where exactly will you rest your weary head, and what of your weary legs? Finally, you look around. There's nobody to your east, nor is anybody to your west. There is no point in looking south. That is the way you came, and when you look to the north... Oh, I should probably save here, right? North. Falls. The cliffs are too steep to scale, and it's too dark. Naturally, there's not a soul here to help you. You're on your own. You feel so overwhelmed, you could very well cry. You do not cry, however. You know that the tears have never helped anyone. You got yourself into this mess. Now you need to get yourself out of it. It is with the thought in mind that you inhale a lung of salty ocean air. Then you begin your exploration in earnest. You keep away from the edge of the cliffs, afraid that you might slip and take a sudden unfortunate tumble into the abyss below. You are now attached to your mortal body, as some humans are, but you do not want to die. You still care for yourself, if only a little. It is this sense of self-preservation which compels you onwards. You glance this way and that, depressing the tall grass beneath your shoes as you search for a place of shelter. Surely there must be somewhere. You cannot see any likely-looking settlements, but what is that over yonder? Could that be a roof? You hurry on with hope, budding anew in your heart until at long last you reach your destination. There's a house after all, out here in the wilds, though it doesn't at a glance look very welcoming. The solitary house that you have discovered not so far from the cliffs is rather unremarkable. It is so small and squat. You cannot imagine it contains within it more than one floor. You cannot imagine that it contains much more than one room. Though it is dark, it's not dark enough to mask the cottage has something of a slant to it. It is leaning listlessly to one side like a drunken sailor. The thatched roof, meanwhile, which topped with dwelling, has certainly seen better days. There's a hole in the thatch. There are several holes, in fact, and part of it looks partially bare, almost bald. Right there. This is rather concerning. Should it rain, you will not be properly protected from the elements. Can you really stay the night in such a place? You have some misgivings, but do your misgivings matter, really? When there's nowhere else to go? It is not as though you have any other option. This is with a sense of defeat, therefore, that you approach the cottage with sticks out of the earth like a tombstone. Part of you wants to turn back, but you know what, that would be foolish. The windows of the cottage are dark, but that does not necessarily mean it's empty. It's rather late night after all. Whoever lives here, if indeed anybody does live here, might be asleep. You cannot imagine the owner of this cottage will appreciate being aroused so very late at night. You cannot let yourself worry too much about these small details, however. Otherwise, you will never get anywhere. You swallow the taste of the salty sea breeze and plunge it in the back of your nostrils. Then you rap the knocks of your right fist on the door. You rap quickly at first, or quietly at first, but you do not hear the resulting shuffle inside the cottage. Perhaps you do not use enough strength. You bold to rap knock. Throw for a second time, more loudly this time. You wait a few moments, but still you cannot hear anything. Perhaps the cottage is not occupied after all. You knock for a third time, then wait. The third time is, as they say, the charm, but for all that, your knocking goes unanswered. Well, nobody can say that you didn't try. More intriguing now that anxious your fingers find the handle of the door. You pull it down, and to your surprise, it yields easily. The door swings back for you. As if by magic, it feels almost as if this was preordained. You step foot inside the cottage, which is very dark, and glance around. It is hard to see, given the lateness of the hour, but the cottage's interior is about as inspiring as its exterior, which is to say, not very. It is every bit as small and cramped as you fancied when you observed it from the outside. There are a few there's a few cupboards which line the walls, a wood fire which has since been extinguished, and a straw pallet on the floor which must function as a bed. Your search is unsuccessful, however. When it comes to trying to locate another humans, you cannot find another soul. Surely that is to your benefit, though. If nobody else lives here, then you might as well make yourself at home. Or as at home as you can be, I suppose, in a small, cramped cottage such as this, with holes in the roof. You close the door behind you and then approach the straw pallet. All of a sudden you feel incredibly weary. The tiredness that is in your limbs is absolute. so intense it overcomes the last of your concerns. You settle down upon the straw pallet and yawning as you down. It is not comfortable, but being able to lie down and ease some of your aches and pains, lying down even on an uncomfortable makeshift bed such as this one, is better than standing. This is far, far better than running. Your eyelids fall shut, your lashes melting together, and soothed by the sounds of the wind, distant rolls of the waves, you fall asleep. Then you begin to dream. It's not uncommon, of course, to dream. The best and the worst of us do it. From queens in their castles to peasants sleeping in the straw. Why, who is to say that all you have observed tonight has not, in sense, been a dream of its own? Would that make your nighttime fancies then a dream inside a dream? Perhaps our dreams are empty, hollow things, stacked inside one another like little wooden dolls. Is that not a whimsical thought? How very droll. Your dreams, however, cannot be called whimsical, and neither are they particularly droll. They are not pure fabrications, as dreams sometimes are, fleeting fancies which can never come to pass. Your dreams are of rather more pernicious sort. In your dreams, you are at the conservatory, with your red hair tied back into prim, proper braids. You're walking through the courtyard, clutching your books to your chest as you make your way to the library. Your head is bowed, as not to look in the faces of your passing classmates. You do not want them to meet your eyes. These girls, with their sensible braids and their sensible shoes, are merciless. You hunch dreams, but alas, it's not enough. You stumble clumsily, think that you are, and fall. And just like that, all eyes are upon you. They're staring at you. They're laughing at you. They lay there on the ground by the fountain, your books scattered and your skirt in a woeful state of disarray. Your knees hurt. Is it bleeding? You examine your injured leg, trying not to cry, and as this transpires, you hear a voice. One of your classmates is calling out to you. She acknowledges you. You look up shyly, tears beating in your eyes, at a girl taller than you, and prettier, and much more refined. She extends her hand towards you. Does she mean to help you? Cannot hurt to try, can it? Hesitantly, you reach out to accept her hand. Fingers curl around yours tightly, perhaps too tight. Her nails dig into your skin. It hurts. Definitely, the girl pulls you to your feet. Your legs feel weak from your fall, and your knees still aching, still bleeding. You stumble, feeling out of sorts, but you are not afforded much of an opportunity to gather your bearings. The girl's hands are on your shoulders. She is laughing at you. Then she's pushing you. The sound of the fountain and the running water, which drums against its bastard, is all of a sudden very loud. It is overwhelming. It surrounds you, then engulfs you. It is cold as ice. You cannot breathe. The rushing of the water continues, echoing in your eardrums over and over. And then, no. You don't want to remember this. What good will it do? It is the past, where the past ought to remain. You are never going to go back, not even in your dreams. It is the determination which forces you back into the world of the waking with a start. You gasp like a fish as you spit upright, your eyes unnaturally wide. You feel wearing from a lack of sleep, and with half-lidded eyes you glance about. It is still dark inside your cottage, the sky visible from beyond the windows splashed still with stars. How long were you asleep? You are not sure. Your dreams was very detailed. It really did feel like you had been transported into a different time, into a different place. When you inhale, you can taste rank, foetid water in your mouth. Tentatively, you pat yourself down, fingers trailing against the front of your uniform. So vivid was your dream, you have expected to have your clothes all damp. It's not the case, however. You are in fact perfectly dry. Well, now what are you to do? Will you go back to sleep? Sounds like the best option available to you. You are very tired, but your senses feel too over... I'm gonna save again. Okie dokie, there we go. But your senses feel too overwrought. Although, all of a sudden, for sleep. You do not think you could bear it. On unsteady legs, you rise to your feet, then stand by the window. You look out to the starry sky and his pitted moon which hangs amongst them, and you frown. You can hear the wind outdoors howling like an injured animal, and you softly the ebb and flow of the waves as they meet the cliffs. But that is not all. What is that sound? Why is it almost like singing? The voice is far away enough that you cannot pick out any individual words or even with individual syllables, but there is a haunting quality to it all. Singer, however, they possess quite the pretty voice, high and clear like a bell. Is it gonna be a siren? The song is melancholy, one which stirs your heart. Curiosity takes root inside you as it did during the fateful day you found the book in the library. Logically, you know you should not go outdoors to seek the source of the singing, but emotionally, that is another matter altogether. You really should have learned your lesson by now. You should know better than to go sticking your nose into business which does not concern you. But naughty little girls such as you never do learn. You cross the old fisherman's cottage as though in a dream, then reach for the handle of the door. The handle depresses easily enough beneath your grasping fingers, and the door opens with a click. The rest of the world yawns before you, framed in the doorway, all of it bathed in moonlight. You thought it was cold inside the old cottage, but it's colder still now that the door's open. An unpleasant wind rushes forth to meet you, knifing mercilessly through the fabric of your uniform. You look across the cold, inhospitable landscape, your fingers clenched into a fist at your side. Then you step outside into the unknown. You can miss the cliff's face led by nothing more than the luxurious singing. So haunting and ethereal is this voice, as it hangs on the breeze. It would be enough to send 1,000 ships off to war. You keep walking into the night until you reach the very edge of the cliffs where they drop downward into empty air. You should probably try to get down to the beach, man. To go any further, but the voice has yet to cease. You can still hear its echoing inside your head. It compels you to act. You look down at the shore, which seems like a dizzying distance away. Then out to the ocean, which is breaking against the scattered rocks below. Your eyes narrow with determination. You take a step towards the cliffs. Those are steep, and the rocks below, they are sharp. You can see them glinting in the darkness, tips jagged like the teeth of a hungry predator. The cold wind blows, rocking your hair, and you shudder from it. Your shoes are not built for scaling cliffs. Your heels do not have much in the way of purchase, particularly not when the cliffs are so steep. Clinging to the cliffs is no small feat, yet you are determined to ease yourself down onto the shore. In one piece, preferably. The wind is so powerful it feels as if though there is something deliberately malicious to it. You want to during your descent if it means to knock you off your perch on purpose to cast you down to the rocks below. Well, if that is what it wants, and you refuse to give it satisfaction. You can be awfully stubborn at times, and now is one of them. You continue to climb down. How long have you been at it now? Until at long last your feet meet the shoreline below. You have made it. You do not sustain too many injuries. Your palms are throbbing, yes, after gripping those rocks, and You might have a few cuts, but your wounds are of a shallow and superficial sort. Things could have been worse. You flex your fingers. They feel uncomfortable, numb, and cold alongside it. Your skin is prickling, but at least you can still feel discomfort. At least it is still attached to your bones, where it ought to be. Your vital organs concealed within the hollow cavity of your body. You have a lot to be thankful for. This night has, but on large, been quite successful. There are no longer any obstacles between you and this mysterious voice which lulled you outdoors. Now you must find them. You set off down the shore on the hunt, the singing voice which has captivated you so. You sidestep sharp, jagged rocks which jet out of the sand like teeth, the rocks which cannot be circumnavigated. Meanwhile, you clambered over. All the while, the sounds of the sea mingles with the singing. It provides an ethereal, haunted backdrop to your exploration, one which further adds to the surreality of your moonlit stroll. The waves lap against the shore, and the recede shyly, pushed and pulled by the beached white moon which hangs overhead. The oceans that you have seen in your library's books were all blue as sapphire, but this ocean is different. It is so late at night, and the light black instead. The undulating surface of the water reminds you of a mirror, though its depths are even deeper and much more mysterious. A sense of foreboding settles upon you, but you try to squash it. You will not let yourself be afraid. It is a siren you stumble upon a scene plucked straight from a fairy tale. You round a corner, your feet unsteady in their sensible brown shoes, and then, at long last, you see her. There is a woman sitting upon a rock, out in the ocean. There's a woman's eyes are closed and her lips are parted, her expression soulful. She is singing. Her hair, which is fair, flutters around her face like a shroud, which adds to her unworldly aura. Her eyes might be closed, but her lashes are long and luxuriant, like a doll's. Her lips, meanwhile, which are parted in song, are soft, like the freshly plucked petals of a flower. Face is perfect, as are her proportions. Her neck is tall and slender, like the stem of a flower. As for the lower half of her body, meanwhile, well, it's nothing like anything you've ever seen before. Is it here, and here alone, that the woman betrays your narrow human definition of beauty? For her legs are non-existent. Rather than two awkward appendages, the woman has instead the sleek, shimmering tail of a fish. Is she not then a human? She cannot be, not with a tail like that. This unusual sight makes you gasp, and quite audibly at that. You do not mean to be rude, but you cannot help yourself. Humans tend to react poorly to things they do not understand. At least, you do not scream. That would be even ruder. Oh my. You meant to observe the mermaid from a distance, but it would appear that your shocked gasp was loud enough to attract her attention. Fish-tailed Vision, sitting upon the rock, is looking at you. Her gaze is so piercing it feels almost as if she's looking through you. Your heart seems to stop inside your chest, as if by some manner of magic spell. You thought the mermaid pretty when first you observed her, sitting upon the crop of rock, her face turned in profile. how she looks looking at you. However, you can see that you were mistaken. She is not just pretty, she's beautiful. So much so, it is almost unnerving. She looks as though she has stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too beautiful to belong to this world. Perhaps she is some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination? But no, she is none of these things. Her tail might be an impossible thing, but its scales look sleek and wet regardless, like those of any fishes one might find at the market. These scales are iridescent and bathed beneath the light of the moon. They seem almost to glow. The sight of her rather takes your breath away. You look at the mermaid. She looks back at you. Prepare yourself, expecting some sort of altercation. But then surprise soon fades from the mermaid's face. Her lips, which once pursed in a frown, now shift upwards. She's smiling. Then she says, in a refined sort of voice, My. It really is good to see a human again, particularly a human girl. I was beginning to fear that your kind had all disappeared, and I would no longer have anybody left to tell me of the world above the waters. My, this is quite the effusive greeting. The mermaid's introductory speech is positively brimming with excitement of a sweet girlish variety. She is rather more amicable than the fine polish of her syllables would make one suggest. You might be a well-bred lady yourself with an accent to match, but you cannot help but feel overwhelmed. Anxiously you observe the mermaid and you ask her what she means. What happened? As to that, I'm afraid I cannot say. I have been sitting on these rocks and singing for many, many nights, but nobody has come to see me. There have been no lovely humans for me to play with. I was beginning to wonder whether your kind had disappeared altogether. I feared some manner of calamity had occurred while I was slumbering beneath the water's surface and your kind had been eradicated. There is a plague. You shudder, then reassure the mermaid to the contrary. You do not know about the humans that she used to speak with, but you, at least, have not been eradicated. You are still here. Yes, well, I can see that. Sorry. The mermaid answers with a light laugh. It really is a relief. My fellow merpeople who live beneath the water told me not to worry so, but I could not help myself. I have always been fond of you humans. It was rather sombering sitting here night after night all on my own. It gets so lonely here. Once again, title drop. Now that it is an interesting turn of phrase, it catches inside your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? So, dear human, did you say that you are unfamiliar with these parts? Hesitantly, you examine the mermaid. Thoughtless though you might be, at times you are not very self-centered, that you cannot detect the note of longing in the mermaid's voice. It is evident that she looks at you, that she is hoping for a particular answer to her query. This answer, alas, is not one that you can furnish her with. You do not want to lie to her. After some hesitation, therefore, that you reaffirm her earlier words, though this time you embellish them. You tell the mermaid that you are a traveler from a far-off land, one that which is dissimilar to this one. This is not a complete fabrication. You tell her that you only just arrived by this shore, and you are familiar both with your immediate surroundings and those further afield. If there is a village nearby, then you might never set foot in it. You do not know what this village is like, nor how many inhabitants it boasts. You do not know if a calamity, as the mermaid grimly supposed, has struck this land. But if she fears all humans within immediate vicinity have lain low by some mysterious malady, then she needn't worry overly on the score. You are still alive, are you not? You wonder, enough to sate her curiosity with the human realm? Yes, that is true. You are here. I am grateful, naturally, for your company, although... Wistful, the mermaid sighs. I was rather hoping you might be able to bring me some news of the nearby village, and of its inhabitants. This makes you wonder. Was there a particular person from this village you was close to? So you were able to work that much out? The mermaid answers with a small smile. You're an intelligent one, aren't you? Your past professors would beg to differ on that score. You were always awful when it came to the academics, mathematics in particular. You could never get your head around all the numbers. Your stern, stony-faced math professor used to despair in you. But she is not here. None of them are here. It is you, and now, the mermaid. And she does not need to know about your dismal academic record. You allow yourself a small smile touched by her compliment and tell her that this was nothing more than a lucky guess. For a guess, it was remarkably accurate. You're quite right. I did have a close friend from the nearby village. She was very dear to me. Internally, you congratulate yourself on this piece of detective work. However very clever you are, there are many humans in this world of that I know. The human who spoke with me, however, was special. She was my human. You do not fail to catch the possessive note in the mermaid's voice. I cherished her dearly. She would come to me on my rock late at night when she was finished with her chores, and we would talk. I asked her a good number of questions about the human realm and about her customs. I fear my endless inquiries might have been rather tedious, but she was always happy to indulge me. She never once scorned me for my ignorance, neither did she make me feel like a fool. She always made time for me, no matter how many demands she had on her time. She was a farmer's daughter. She was awfully busy from dawn until dusk, threshing hay and taking the animals to pasture. She told me of her work, and I marveled at her. Slender though she was, she possessed a truly tremendous amount of strength. I would have lived in the ocean all my life. Couldn't accountants working as hard as she did. But she bore her burdens without complaining. She was not the prettiest human who has walked the earth, but that mattered not to me. Her conversation was engaging, and I knew through our continued encounters that she meant no ill will. She did not have even a single drop of malice in her heart. The wishful manner in which the mermaid speaks of her friend makes you feel, for a brief moment, a flicker of some ugly, primordial emotion. Could it be jealousy? It is painful, isn't it, to hear others wax poetic about those they held dear, particularly when you yourself have never been regarded into so intimate a matter. You have for many, many years been woefully alone. But you're not alone now. You're with the mermaid, and she's with you. And though she might prefer to be in the company of an industrious farmhand, the farmhand is not here. Where did she go? Oh, if only I knew. She quite simply disappeared one day, almost as if she had been whisked away by a wicked spirit. That seemed like quite the anticlimactic end for such a close relationship. Did the farmhand not tell her company beforehand that she might one day disappear? No, she did not. Nothing of the sort happened. It was all very sudden. So you ask, feeling affronted upon the mermaid's behalf, did she not give you any warning? Not a single one. And when you ask, did she disappear? I do not know in truth. Time is a strange concept to beings such as myself, particularly as it seems to ebb and flow differently both above and below surface. We humans have a strange compulsion to pin down to a place's labels upon everything. New names for your seasons and your months, and even for your days of the week. It is a very precise. We merfolk, however, do not bother in such affairs, perhaps because we live for so much longer than humans do. We have no need to obsessively document our days, not when we have so many of them at our disposal. This curious remark catches your attention. How long exactly do mermaids live for? The mermaid does not look much older than you do, but you cannot help but wonder. My, nosy, aren't we? The mermaid asks, and she laughs. A soft, tinkling sound, like that of a bell, which makes you blush. Were you being nosy? Perhaps you were. You've always had a thirst for knowledge. Not for the dry, dusty academic variety, but for stories of people with strange persons. The literature that only subject you were ever any good at. Again, it's hard for me to quantify, but to put it in terms of a human like you can understand. I suppose we mermaids can live for centuries? Centuries? That is quite the surprise. But perhaps it shouldn't be. You have been subjected to any number of surprises tonight, and there's one more to add to the pile. I have not been waiting quite that long, however, for my friend is returned to me. I think it has been but a few seasons. Might not sound like that much, but never before have I been so aware of the passage of time. I have experienced any number of wants during my life, but I have never wanted anything quite as badly as I want to see her. I wish she would sit with me, and she would talk with me just one more time. But perhaps I am asking for an impossibility. I have been waiting for so long. Now to presume that she will not be returning for me. I fear that something must have happened to her, or to her family, or perhaps to her whole village. You can hear the worry throbbing in the mermaid's voice, so potent that for a moment you swear you can feel the depths of her sorrow within your own breasts. Her madness, her sadness over this human girl is steep, dark thing, almost fathomless. You cannot let yourself indulge in it for too long. Otherwise, you fear you might drown in it. Ruthfully, you tell the mermaid once more that you cannot help her. You are only a traveler, after all. What do you know of a single insignificant farmhand? Yes, I thought you might say that. It's quite unfortunate, but, well, I ought not to reflect upon all that I am missing. That would be churlish of me, and it would not be fair to you either. You did not approach me, I am sure, with the hope of hearing about all my woes. I should be grateful instead for all that I do have. I still have my long, long life, which stretches before me like a golden cord. And of course, I have you now. Does she? Do I not? I ought to go soon, before my absence is noticed. But will you not come and visit me again tomorrow night? I think I would like that. I have always enjoyed speaking to humans. If you make me feel less alone. You cannot help but feel, as the mermaid observes you with those enchanted eyes on her, that she does not truly wish to speak to you for your sake. She wants to use you instead as a substitute for the farmhand that she had been missing so very ardently. A thought stings through you really ought to be used to. Still, be held in lower esteem than a farmhand of all things. It makes your self-esteem sting. Try not to let the mermaid notice this, though. The woes of your past are not her fault, much as the woes of her past are not yours. It is silly, in any case, to be jealous of a girl who might very well be dead. That is what you tell yourself. It is the only way to prompt up your bruised sense of self-worth. You would tell the mermaid, after a pause, like to see her again. You would like that very much. Oh, thank you. I have been feeling very gloomy for quite some time, but seeing you has invigorated me. Finally, it feels as though I can smile again. Did she not smile when you wonder after her friend disappeared? I did not know. I do not have the heart without her. The world seemed very dull and drab. Your company has cheered me up immensely. This is why I like humans so much. You are not callous and unfeeling like the merfolk who live beneath the water's surface. You are much kinder than they are. Oh, if only she knew. If the mermaid was aware, I wonder how petty you are, and how jealous would she still care for you. Well, this is neither here or there. Oh, you agree to meet with the mermaid. Comes sundown of the following night. You make a slow stumble back to the cliffs, then to the cottage you have purloined as your own. So you settle down upon your pallet and then close your eyes. Sighing at the wind outside and the distance rolling of the waves against the rocks do not disturb you. You feel after the midnight encounter of the Moorish kind quite at ease, perhaps prematurely so. What happened to the icy fear within which prompted your frantic flight from the forest? Where has it all gone? Do you not think you are being a bit complacent? No. Oh well. You will. The following morning, when it arrives, is cloudy and overcast. It is not a particularly pleasant morning, but at least it is not raining. It is small consolation. You rise from your straw pallet, stretch the glance about the interior of the fisherman's cottage. It looked dilapidated last night, when much of it was obstructed by the shadow, but it looks even more so when it is subjected to the morning light. The cottage's interior has the distinct disquieting appearance of having been abandoned in a hurry. There's a broken pottery shooting upon the ground, and the singularly wooden chair, which once must have been stood by the singular wooden table, is lying on the floor. The door of the cabin, meanwhile, is ajar. The shelves within desperately bare. Quick search reveals a handful of edibles, but there is a precious little to getting it on with. You wish to live here comfortably, you will have to look into foraging. You ate very little last night and your stomach is empty. It was a malcounted rumbling of your stomach and the actual fact of which rose you from your slumber. But your body seems to be very far away. Indeed, much like the gray clouds which coat the sky. You are not thinking of your own physical discomfort. You are dwelling instead upon the events of night prior. You can't help but think of the mermaid. Did you truly meet an aquatic maiden last night during your nightly stroll when you could not sleep? It sounds unreal, especially now that the sun has risen and the shadows from the night poor prior have dispersed. You cannot quite believe it. You must have been dreaming. But why, then, can you recall it so very clearly? You help yourself to the scant food and drink available to you, all the while thinking of your next course of action. Now what are you going to do? You plan, of course, to return to the shore come nightfall, so that you might once again see the mermaid. But the night will not arrive for quite some time. Find some means of keeping yourself occupied until then. An uninspiring interior of a cottage does not furnish you with any particular ideas. So you decide to go for a walk. Your soul still ache after your excursions last night, but if you go slowly, you ought to be alright. That is what you hope, at least. You do not want to spend much longer than you have to in this fisherman's cottage, no matter how cold it might be outdoors. It's almost as cold as inside as it is out. And in any case, the cottage is far too small. Leave the cottage behind. Set off. You don't know where exactly you are going, but you suppose it does not matter overly much. You do not have any particular destination in mind. Will lead you to the cliffs, which are steep and sharp. The drop to the shore is precariously one, so much so that you have to wonder at how you were able to descend the cliffs that night prior to meeting the mermaid. You are rather more determined than you ever realized, though I of course could have told you that much. It was surprisingly capricious for such a small, slender human. You walk along the side of the cliffs, keeping a sensible distance away from the drop to the shore. Hello. Yes. You might have survived last night, excitement, unscathed, but you do not fancy trying your luck. It would be so like you. Really to avoid a drop to your death in darkness, only to stumble during the morning's light, taking an irreversible tumble. Your fortune has never been the fairest. On the cliffs revealed to you a small manner of curious flora. You thought the night prior the cliffs were weathered blasted, but you can see now that the assumption was incorrect. The flowers here very warm and bright, like the sunlight during the summertime. Or you think with a flush of pleasure the fair hair of the mermaid, whom you are certain you spoke to last night. These flowers, so very like her hair, it is uncanny. You step towards the flowers, drawn towards them, and sink down to your knees. The tall grass brushes your ankles like a caress, the morning dew wetting your skirt. Your clothes are getting damp, as are your legs, but you care not for the minor discomfort. You've just had an idea. Why not make a gift for your new friend? You are sure that she would appreciate it, would she not? She told you in her voice, which steeped with the allure, that she had been feeling lonely. You want to see her again, and then you And when you next see her, you would like to make her smile. This is with the thought in mind that you begin to pick the flowers which are growing upon the cliffside. These flowers do not have any thorns, or their lilac stems snap easily enough between your fingers. You take care of plucking these flowers to leave the sustained amount of stem intact. You will need these stems. You might twine the flowers together. Make your mermaid a dam, something she will be able to wear in her hair. This tiara is certainly to suit her. She's so pretty, anything would suit her. You continue to work, slow and steadfast as the weak sun shines. It takes time, but you eventually are able to fashion something you are satisfied with. You only hope the mermaid will feel similar, if indeed she really does exist. Carefully pocket your makeshift diadem, then decide to forage for some food. You discover during your search some fruit trees whose sweet burden are enough to fortify your spirits, for the present at least. It is fortunate, really, that you are so excited about your moonlight residence with a mermaid. If you were less focused upon the future and dwelt more in the immediate present, you might have more of an appetite. The emptiness in your stomach was sauced you to return to the cottage, where you meet and await the setting sun. There's very little to do, you soon discover, in the cottage other than checking the cupboard and sweeping the floor. Occupies you both feeling depressed, pointless. There are no books to read either, with which you might pass your idle hours. You do, however, busy yourself with trying to light a fire so that you might ward off the cold. The time is horribly slow in passing, in part because you have precisely little to do, but also because you cannot stop thinking about the mermaid. Will she really return to the shore as she said she would? Can you truly trust her? Oh, you hope that you can. If she were not present at your designated meeting place, you think you would die from disappointment. Jeez, the second continued to trickle by, unchecked by any hourglass. As they do, the sun sinks beneath the horizon. Part of you worries, however. It might still be too early to search for the mermaid. Will she be there? You sit there, your stomach tied up in anxious knots, and as you listen to the wind, which buffets your window, you hear it. The sound is faint, but you recall well the night before. There is a single solitary voice outdoors, tempest-tossed amidst the rolling waves. The voice is high, clear one, silvery. If needed, voices can be colors. Oh, silvery. Like finely polished dinner plate in a noble woman's home. Such a weird way to pronounce a voice. The voice belongs, of course, to the mermaid. Who else do you know with a voice as angelic as that? Relief begins to stumble upon you. His relief so potent you feel dizzy from it. She did not abandon you after all. Why, you wonder, did you ever think she would? She said she wanted to see you. Did you think the mere nicety? Buoyed as if by a gentle breeze, you hurry to the door. With trembling fingers, they are trembling, I presume, from excitement rather than fear. You seize the handle and turn it. You step outside into the dark, inky night. Towards the cliffs, as you did the night prior. Beneath the cover of the inky blue sky, the wind moaning. Withfully, with every step you take. Yeah.
Wait until you finish the sentence. How we're in this line.
Your soul still ache from your expedition the day prior, but you are able to ignore it. This discomfort, it seems irrelevant, really, when you compare it to the prospect of once again meeting the mermaid. You have known her for only one night, yet she has come to mean more to you than your own well-being. You would do anything for the mermaid if she asked it. Well, almost anything. You hurry down the sharp incline of the cliffs to the shore, almost stumbling in your scoffed brown shoes, which really were not built for rock climbing in mind. So frantic are you in your attempt to once again make the mermaid's acquaintance, you very nearly fall. It's a good thing that you still have enough sense about you to regain your footing. Otherwise, this tale would come to a premature ending. Eventually, you make your way onto the shore, then approach the jagged outcrop of rocks where first you last saw the mermaid. The night prior, the mermaid is perched upon the rocks, her fair hair stretched about her shoulders. When she sees you from across the shore, she ceases her singing and her eyes light up, or at least they seem to. So, you have returned to me, my hero, the mermaid says, and then lightly she giggles, or perhaps I should say heroine, or heroine? Hope. Her praise makes you blush. You do not feel worthy of it. Nobody has ever called you a heroine. Bad word, man. Before. You do not even think of yourself as a hero. If a story were made about you, you'd rather think it would be of a supporting character, one without her own voice. You are not interested, though. The mermaid seems to think that you are, though. She's staring at you delightfully, as though you are the one person in the world she most wishes to speak to. The thought makes you tremble, but not as much as the mermaid's gaze. Tell the mermaid that you do not think you are so very brave, but she dismisses your awkward remark with a laugh. I think you are. I saw the way you scaled those cliffs. I thought that was very heroic. Oh, so she saw that, did she? Then she did see how you slipped down the cliffs, grazing your palms in the process, and how you very nearly fell. You've never been the most graceful of girls, but to have your failing exposed before being as poised and perfect as the mermaid, it stings a little bit more, in fact, than the resilient grazes on your palm. Your clumsiness rot you. Tell the mermaid that you was not so very heroic about all of that. You were simply excited, that is all, to see her again. You weren't thinking. Well, that makes two of us. I was excited to see you again. She was. Naturally, I had a very good time speaking to you last night. I'd hoped that we might resume our correspondence. That is why I came to the rocks a bit earlier than usual. I was waiting for you. Did you hear my song? Yes, you reply, with a nod of your head. You heard it, all the way in the abandoned cottage. It called out to you. That was the general idea. I was singing for you. She was. You not think that you are worthy of the mermaid's song, but if she does not mind dedicating her voice to you, then... well, who else would I dedicate my voice to? There's no one else to hear me. That is a good point, you suppose. Shyly, you look back at the mermaid. You thank her for her song. It was very beautiful. Then tell her, before you can lose your nerve, They put a present for her, too. Oh, have you really? You have. It is a small thing, nothing more than a silly trinket. But if it would not be too much of an imposition, then, with the clumsily fingers, you reach into your pocket. For a few moments you fret that you nearly fall down the cliffs might have damaged the delicate chain nested within it, but your worries are in vain. The chain is surprisingly sturdy, given it was made of only a few flowers and it's held firmly against its odds. You handle the chain with great caress of the same. However, as you hold it, presenting it for the mermaids, a proportion, it was for the mermaid that you fashioned this chain. You thought that it would look nice nestled in her hair. You were pleased with the chain when you first made it, but after looking at the mermaid, you have begun to reconsider. Mermaid's beauty is otherworldly, so much so that it almost hurts to look at her. Your flower crowned, by comparison, seems a very meager offering indeed. The longer you hold your gift out, the more unworthy it feels. You have half a mind, as the seconds elapse, to snatch your silly, wholly unworthy gift back from the mermaid before she can judge you too harshly. But the mermaid's lips curve upwards into a smile. In a voice so full of gratitude and makes your heart throb, she says, "Oh my, did you make this for me?" "Well, yes," you reply. Still feeling a little flustered, you saw these flowers earlier when you went for a walk, and they made you think of her. Not, you hastened to add that you think her beauty is compared to these flowers. They are far inferior when contrasted with her good looks. You simply thought. You were unable to get the rest of the sentence out, however, because the mermaid interrupts you, not rudely, but with something resembling compassion. Perhaps she pities you. She must be able to hear your voice is trembling. You can see also that her hands tremor. Oh dear. Faint heart never won the hand of a fair maiden, you know. What happened to all of your confidence? I think that your gift is a wonderful one. Cat. It's not all expected, but it really is pretty. Look at your feet, too shy to meet the mermaid's gaze. Then you say, very quietly, that you reply that she thinks so, but she does not need to spare your ego. You have precious little of it left as it is. The mermaid seems touched by your shyness. Perhaps she likes her prey to be self-conscious. To pray. Nice little hint there. Because she smiles. I'm not simply saying things to spare your ego. I'm not like that. Humans might spout platitudes as easily as they breathe air, but I do not compliment others unless I truly mean it. It's not the point of speech to have an honest dialogue with another. If one party is in a conversation is withholding their true intentions, the conversation is impossible. Playing games is a waste of my time, particularly given my time above the surface is so very limited. Oh, you blush at this, and you're deeply still and served the mermaid beneath full fringe of your eyelashes. Then she really does like it. Did I not just say that? You humans are so very funny. What with all your second guessing, she was like that too in the beginning. My friend. The mermaid's answer is a simple one, but makes your stomach clench regardless. Oh yes, her friend. How could you have forgotten about her? She used to make me gifts too. You know, gifts like this one. She'd pick flowers on the cliffs over there, where I cannot tread. Mermaid gestures to the one and cliff with the tower above the shore, tall and imposing, as though to stab the sky above. And she would fashion them into crowns like this one, and bracelets. It was appreciative of her tokens, though she was similarly shy when first she presented them to me. She did not seem to think very much of her handiwork. You and her are remarkably similar, really. There is no gull in the mermaid's voice, but her words have rather taken the wind out of your sails. Of course, the cohort gave the mermaids gifts. Why would she not? The mermaid is beautiful. She is so very beautiful, like a totally goddess. She seems to invite tribute simply by existing. You were more religious or more irreligious maybe, you might even consider worshipping her. Though, in essence, is that not what you're doing with your flower crown? How silly of you to think that your idea was an original one. I might be accustomed to gifts, but it has been a long time since a human has bequeathed me with anything. This is a pleasant surprise, and I'm truly thankful for your kindness, dear one. Leans forward on a rock so as to pluck the circlet from your fingers. Her beloved smile all the while is unwavering. And now that I look at your gift more closely, I rather think it is of a superior quality to the gifts my old friend once gave me. Oh, this is enough to make you start. If you touch the mermaid's fingers, upon your own was not. Could your silly gift really be better than the ones she once accepted? I think so. My friend's trinkets were all rather clumsy in execution, though. I cherish them nonetheless. They were very precious to me. They did not last very long, though. Not when I took them with me to my home beneath the ocean. The waters soon rend the fragile links between the flower stems asunder. Your dam, however, seems more sturdy. But is it, by the same token, very delicate? You must be very good with your hands. You think back briefly on your disastrous sewing lessons in the past, of your numerous failed attempts to thread your needle, while the other girls giggle at you, and you blush. You think the mermaid's praise might be a touch too effusive. You tell the mermaid as much, but she only laughs. I don't think so now. The mermaid places her flower trinket upon, oh my god, it's actually there, upon her head, over her long fair hair. Then surveys you in a manner which seems almost quotish. What do you think? You think that the mermaid looks radiant, though that is less because of your gift and more because of her natural looks. Tell the mermaid this, though not in terms of quite this glowing. And she giggles. You're selling yourself too short. I think your gift is lovely. Really, the flowers rather match my hair. Yes, you answer, nodding your head. This is why you picked those flowers. She is all you have been able to think of. I am glad that you've been thinking of me. I in truth have been thinking of you, though I did not wish to say as much. No? No. It would be embarrassing to confess to how much I've been thinking, looking forward to our reunion, if you did not feel similarly. I do not care to pine for humans from afar. But if you care for me as I do you, then it makes me feel less alone. You hasten to assure the mermaid that your face of flame Do you ever stop blushing? Goodness gracious. That you do care for her very much so. That you have not known her very long, but she has certainly made an impression upon you. She is such an easy conversationalist that the time simply slips by when you are together. And it does not hurt, of course, that she is so pretty. I have heard it said, yes, that my looks are rather appealing. My old friend was similarly complimentary. I cannot blame you humans for being so taken with me when my form is so very graceful. Your legs seem rather cumbersome in comparison to my smooth, silky tail. It must be so very depressing to lumber about on land as you do, living your days beneath the harsh sun and the cool, unfilling moon. Sometimes I rather think I pity you. But the surface is a good deal brighter than it is beneath the ocean. I will grant you that much. You agree with the mermaid, still feeling flushed, that there are some perks to having legs and agreements which makes the mermaid giggle. I am certain there are, though you cannot explore the ocean's depths as I can. I presume you have never tried it. You shake your head no. You've never thought to do so, largely because you've never been so close to the sea before, not all in your life. You don't have much opportunity for nuanced exploration in the past. You were not allowed to go anywhere then, save to the local church. It was quite a lonely existence. Well, now, that's a pity. You were kind enough to give me a gift fashioned from flowers which grow where I cannot reach them, so perhaps I ought to return the favor. The favor? Yes, that's right. It would seem only fitting to give to you something which can only be found in the ocean's depths. Perhaps we could look at it as a form of cultural exchange. Oh no, you protest your eyes wide. You couldn't possibly put such a burden upon her. You did not give her a gift, after all, because you wanted to receive anything in return, anything other than her friendship, that is. Conversation is more than enough to satisfy you. You do not need any physical presence on top of that. No, it does not seem convinced, however, by your nice saying. She raises one eyebrow. Even this gesture is performing elegantly. Then says, if my company is all it takes to satisfy you, then you're easy to please indeed. But please, do not rebuff me. I am offering because I wish to do this. Remember what I said. I do not say things for the sake of saying it. Well, you murmur, if she really doesn't mind. Of course I don't mind. Now, wait there. I will not be very long. It would be rude to abandon my new friend in the midst of a conversation. We turns her attention towards the clear mirror-like water, which shimmers beneath the moonlight. She then dives. Her body arches elegantly through the air, her long, slender limbs cleaving through the surface of the water with nary a ripple. The mermaid's face is first submerged, then her torso, then along last her tail. The water rushes forth to envelop her, as though it has been waiting for her. It subsumes her. It swallows her. Then she disappears from view. The mermaid is gone, but you are still there. Well, now what to do? There's nothing that can be done, you suppose, save waiting. You stand there for several moments, watching the black water lapping against the shore. The breeze howls mournful, like a wounded animal, as it buffets your hair above your face and your torn skirt around your legs. Time elapses, but how much of it? While you stand there, fretful, feeling as astonished as a maypole. When will the mermaid return? Will she ever return? Are you starting to worry? Is that all you do? When look over there, by the rocks upon which the mermaid once sat, the water is rippling. It looks as though your new friend has returned. Oh, her hair's wet now. He said it's like perfect. Mermaid pulls herself onto the rock, using a surprising amount of her body strength. She has to have that. She only has a tail behind her. Then smiles at you. I apologize for the wait. I hope I did not make you worry. You were worrying, but you're not half so honest as the mermaid. Mermaids might be spoken of as devious tricksters who lure sailors to their deaths, but they are, in actuality, very sincere. They are much more sincere than most humans. Perhaps that is why your kind fears them so. There are very few creatures who inhabit the world whose capacity for lying is greater than your own, or capacity. You tell the mermaid that you were not worried, and she answers with a worried smile. I'm not sure about that. Oh, the mermaid is really than you are giving her credit for. She has seen right through you. But no matter, it took me some time, but I was finally able to retrieve you for you. A gift. I do not have the means to turn it into some pretty piece of jewelry as you did with the flowers, but I wish to give it to you nonetheless. I do hope that you like it. Mermaid leans forward, then holds her gift. What a pretty gift it is! The ocean might be dark depth, cold and unfeeling, but the same cannot be said for the objects which glitter upon the mermaid's hand. She has fished upon the depths of the water a beautiful shell, one which shimmers prismatic colors beneath the moonlight, much like the scales of her tail. The shell is very pretty, quite takes your breath away. You look at the shell, worried, your teeth biting your lip. That is a bad habit, you know. You'll make yourself bleed, then ask the mermaid if this is really alright. Would a gift like this not be wasted on you? Of course not. I want you to have the shell because it makes me think of you. It does? How so? I thought it should be obvious. The shell is a lovely find, as you are. Oh, she risen out of that water, I tell you. Did she just call you lovely? Surely you must have misheard her. You can scarcely believe it. Is it an awful lot for you to take in? But, damn, whoever's supposed to be the narrator of this, tells me is a kind of a douche. Now, why are you gawping at me like that? The wind will change, you know, and then your face will be stuck like that, which would be quite the shame. You would waste your good looks, which for a maiden such as yourself would be nothing short of a tragedy. Damn, she really is rizzing the shit out of me. It seems as though the mermaid really does think you are pretty after all. The mermaid, with her smooth skin and fair hair. You can scarcely believe it. There's something almost laughable about the mermaid's compliments. How could she call you pretty when her looks are so immediately obviously superior? Tongue-tied, you look at your feet. You do not know how to reply to the mermaid. You have half a mind to refute her words, to tell her that you are not that pretty, not really, but you fear that might look rude. You do not want to rebuff the mermaid's well wishes. There is nothing for it then but to take the shell which the mermaid retrieved from the ocean depths for you. You do not think that you are worthy of it, but neither do you want to refuse it. Now, that is a surprise, the mermaid says, amused, as you reach for the shell. I did not think you would be bold enough to take it, not without more coaxing on my part. You've exceeded my expectations. What a good girl you are. Damn, she hit her with the good girl. Your heart flutters with the praise, and it flutters all the more when your trembling fingers brush against the mermaid's palm. She presses the shell into your skin, and your fingers tighten around it. The shell is sharp and pointed, and dug uncomfortably into your skin. It hurts, but there's pleasure in the pain. This too feels like a gift from the mermaid. Did you not want to spurn it? Even pain can be a precious thing when dealt by one who you care for. Ah, that's a little weird. You never knew that before. You have the shell in your heart. So the shell to your heart, which is beating at an irregular rhythm. And look at the mermaid. Then very softly, you thank her. It is quite all right. It seems only fair after you shared of your world with me. I wish to share part of my world with you too. Humans cannot normally descend beneath the ocean's depths, and even if they do, they cannot remain there for very long. You're far too fragile. Would that I could, I would bring you with me to my underwater kingdom where we might be together. Norrid's melodical voice trails away, suffused with something resembling a melancholy. Then she shakes her head and smiles. But this will have to do. For the present, please take good care of the shell. Look at it from time to time and think of me. That would make me very happy indeed. It's such a cute little story. But I am afraid that I am going to have to call it here for now. I'm recording this for like an hour and a half. It's 12 o'clock in the morning, man. Well, if you like this video, please subscribe. I know I didn't get to the bits where she's probably going to try to kill me or drown me or whatever she's going to do to me. The days pass following... I started reading. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe and all stuff. But if you did not, that's alright. Thank you for stopping by anyway. And hope you have a wonderful day. Peace out.